reference to image, because
Okay.
we are presenting ourselves in a particular kind of way for our various audiences. And every audience requires a different kind of image projection. You don't talk to your kids the same way you talk to your bosses. You don't talk to a big political official the same way you will talk to your neighbors. I mean, everybody requires not phony communication, but communication within the realm of what you have available within yourself. And one of the things that has really affected me lately is when we're teaching our graduate MBA students at Forbes, and many of them hand in phenomenal, flawless papers, and others don't bother to spell check or grammar check, and they have no idea that this is their image, and they are presenting in front of peers, and they have no idea that sometimes in the future, when peers are looking to hire, when they have become upwardly mobile and they have achieved a certain level and they're looking to hire, they will hire from people they know and people whose work that they have experienced. And that includes your classroom peers.
Well, it's the same situation at every university for which I've taught, which is really fascinating because you get these really bright students, and then you get in an online setting where I think people get used to communicating in a different way. I mean, they're used to shortcuts, they're used to texting, they're
Yeah.
used to not capitalizing the word I. I don't know where that came from, but that one's a popular one. There's
Well,
there's the shortcuts for what we've learned to text quickly. And even my husband, I notice he'll sometimes send me stuff and nothing, he doesn't capitalize anything, the beginning of sentences or anything, because he's doing it on text, not when he's doing something official.
right,
He never
right.
do that. But we get this informal kind of thing that we get used to. And I've been interviewing a lot of people for my role with the Global Mentor Network, and that's something we're talking about is the blending of it's not so much work-life balance, but it's what comes first. It used to be work and then trying to figure out how to work your family and situation around it. And instead now we're going the other direction in a way because people got really used to being home and doing this thing. So the formality of what you're talking about is something that we deal with not only in education, but in the workplace now, because the workplace is kind of like online education. I mean, your distance learning, your distance interacting, your distance doing everything. It's a whole different way to communicate.
But
So
does distance mean sloppy?
no,
It's not a
it just
synonym for being far apart.
it's more informal though, and that people have become more informal. They have their jeans on or their pajamas on the half down, and they're doing things in a different way. And so we have to learn the new way to communicate, but that doesn't mean we lose the sophistication of speaking correctly and doing things. I think that that's the danger that you're worried about.
Well, I am very concerned about that because, all of a sudden you'll be invited to do something in front of a major audience, a real live presentation. What are you going to do? Show up in a shirt and a tie and pajama bottoms? Come on. You have to know that there is a difference between
Right.
formality and informality, but pure sloppy work when your student peers have never seen you before except online, that's the only opportunity they have to judge you, and they will judge you because people are judging everybody.
Well, I've had a lot of friends who've gone to Harvard, and we've talked about this of whether Harvard is like the best school compared to other schools and different things. And really, many people have told me who've gone there, it's really the people with whom you interact. It's your network you build
Yeah,
within your experience there, right? You've got a really high intelligence level of students, and later they all stay connected to
that's
in some ways
exactly.
or another,
Well,
right? So that's what you're talking about.
that happened down at NYU where I was attending, where I got my doctorate. When it came time for people to reach out and look for people to work on their team, they drew from the people they had interacted with for a number of years with hard work, from their doctoral dissertations, who were also in the same boat at the same time. I got a lot of job offers from people who had taken jobs that I wasn't interested in, but who are now looking to staff their companies. And that, who did they draw from? They reached out to those of us who were in that circle.
I think, you know, that it's really important to grow your connections. I'm actually teaching a course at Forbes right now where today, this week, they actually were creating their LinkedIn profile and updating it for this. And these are the kinds of discussions we're having in this class, which is kind of fascinating because I look at some of the profiles and they're great. They have great experience, they have great backgrounds and knowledge, and so my job is just to tweak, you know, give them suggestions of how they can make it better, you know, their profile and connect more. And I think part of it is communication based. It's communicating about yourself, what you offer. You know, on LinkedIn, you have a certain amount of space to fill up in that about section, right? And I think a lot of people don't feel comfortable saying, look at me, look how great I am. You and I have had to get over that because we branded our name, and you kind of have to always talk about yourself when you have that. But I think with students, they feel like, well, you can see what I've done if you scroll down and look at my experience. But you have that big about section to really showcase what you're capable of. I mean, if you do bullet points, or, you know, there's different rationale for how you do it different ways, whether it should be first person or third person and all that. To me, it's more about the content. What do you put in there to really wow people? And I think that that's a huge thing, that no matter what school or what age or whatever, if you're trying to get noticed on LinkedIn and communicate your abilities, I think that that's something that a lot of people overlook.
Well, I think LinkedIn is a wonderful opportunity for people to interact, get to know each other, and to make impressions. People who have never met one another before, people who have had different kinds of experiences. People on LinkedIn have said to me, wow, you have had such an interesting background. I'm fascinated, because they bother to read. Most people don't bother to read, just like they don't bother to listen. And that's why I talk about media presence. You're always present. You are always being evaluated. You are always, always, always in front of somebody, and they are noticing. So how can you afford today not to put your best foot forward?
You know, I was going to ask you about this because now we're talking about LinkedIn. Now, I was on a LinkedIn site the other day and noticed that when you click on her picture, on now, instead of just having a picture, a little video would play and she would tell about herself. And I hadn't seen that. I mean, maybe I'm behind of what has already everybody's done, but I haven't done that. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I gotta remember who did it, but she just has the 30-second of who she is when you click on her picture that pops up, and it's her live talking at, you know, right to the camera. And I think it's nice to see some of that interactive. And I'm sure if they're doing LinkedIn, they'll do it on Facebook and everywhere else eventually. That, you know, you can do a quick little, you know, elevator's pitch. So I think that that's going to be your next big thing. What would you say in your elevator pitch when people click on your LinkedIn photo, because now you got to put a video there?
So once again, it's all about the visual.
Mhm.
Remember when we thought, oh, somebody will definitely click on this and click on that? People are often too lazy to bother to click. So if a video is in your face,
Mhm.
well, how could you actually move out of there?
Huh.
Because you have to really attend to a video much more than you do to something in writing. I mean, it's more attention getting, don't you think?
Well, it is, and it's also makes you feel like you kind of met the person more. I mean, a flat picture. I mean, I've seen people use cartoon pictures of themselves. I've seen people use all these things.
Avatars,
Huh?
avatars.
Oh yeah, avatars as well. But I've seen like printed, like somebody did it through Etch a Sketch looking things. You know what I
That's
mean?
cool.
And I guess you never age in those, and you'll never have to change those, which is kind of nice. But